The Quiz on podcast is brought to you by the Flamingo Fund, supporting LGBTQ+ projects, organisations and initiatives. To find out more, head to flamingoscoffeehouse.co.uk/the Flamingo Fund.
Hello and welcome back to the Quiz on podcast with me, Alex Mitchell.
And me, Hollie Noble.
This week we are joined by yet another fantastic guest. I'm very excited to have them. Please welcome Naomi Paxton, A.K.A Ada Campe is in the studio.
Hello from me and hello from Ada Campe.
I'm so excited. I mean, I've seen you a couple of times, and Ada Campe is just one of my favourite characters of all time because she's undoubtedly bonkers, and I love the bonkersness. I love the silliness.
I think I agree with you. Me too. I like her silliness too.
Good. I'm glad. When we start the podcast, we always start with two questions. First one comes from me, and that is, where are you and what are you drinking?
Well, I am in South London. I am actually drinking a 4-shot espresso right at the minute.
4-shot.
Yeah, which is in a very benign looking mug. No one would know that it's packed with caffeine.
Yeah. Has it been a rough morning?
No, sadly, I start the day with 4 shots, then I have 4 shots at lunchtime, and then I'll have another 4 shots tonight. I'm a bit caffeinated. Yeah.
Fair play to you. I mean, that is impressive. That is an absolute slog of caffeine. Fair play to you. And the second question always comes from Hollie. And Hollie, this question this week is:
how do you think Mickey Mouse identifies sexually?
Oh, well, I think there's how he would publicly identify, and then probably what he's up to behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I used to have a Saturday job for that corporation back in the day when I was a teenager. And so I know that things can look very wholesome on the outside, but be really dodgy. So I would tread carefully, but I suppose he would, I think he's probably up to all sorts behind closed doors, but would probably announce himself as I don't know, is he sexual?
That's a good point.
Would he describe himself as sexual at all, I suppose?
Possibly not. Maybe he's asexual. What's the relation to Minnie Mouse? Are they... Because obviously same surname, but that could mean two different things.
I think she's his girlfriend, but you never see... I mean, famously, mice breed, don't they? But you never see any little mice anywhere.
That's true.
Maybe it's a lavender marriage. Maybe they're bit each other's beards.
Sure,
that's nice.
I feel like that is the thing.
That's wholesome, though. That's wholesome. A lavender marriage. I like that phrase.
Yeah.
It's wholesome. It's sweet. It's cute. I'll take it. That's great. I can't believe we've got someone who worked for the mouse. What was your Saturday job for the mouse?
I used to work at one of the Disney stores for the mouse when I was at school.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, we all worked those terrible Saturday jobs when we were at school. I worked at a cafe and I got fired for laughing at mayonnaise. That's what happened to me. Just because one day they told me to get the mayonnaise and it was like a 1 kilogram tub, and I'd never seen that much mayonnaise before, so I instantly laughed. And then moments later they came over and went, "We're not going to need you tomorrow." I'm not sure if the two are directly linked, but it was it was a particularly rough...
The bit of the job. Do you remember the old Disney stores? They used to have those huge kind of plush mountains. You know, the big pyramid of toys. Did you ever see those?
Yes. Yeah.
So that would be on if you got put on that, it would be like an hour of just making that whole pyramid. And they would send through diagrams of where the characters had to be in different orders.
God.
And it was quite zen because obviously the Disney stores were quite manic, and there's that loopy music plays all the time, so you could just sort of shut everything out, like kneel on this thing and just make pyramids of soft toys. That was the most calm I ever felt at the Disney store. Otherwise it was just insane.
That sounds like that's the good job. That's the job everyone wanted to get. No one wants to be on the tills. No one wants that job, but they wanted that.
No.
100%.
What is the craziest thing that you saw a child do in the Disney store?
Ooh. Actually, all the bad behaviour I saw in the Disney store was by adults, but I probably shouldn't say it on a public podcast. Kids were fine. I didn't see kids do anything naughty. It was all adults doing naughty things. But I think we might have to keep that off the record.
Oh, fair enough.
And I'll tell you over a drink one time.
Yes, that would be good. That's the kind of stories I want to hear. Yeah. It's interesting because I guess Disney is in itself quite camp and extravagant and outlandish,
Yeah.
and so is Ada Camp, your other persona who you go around and do cabaret shows with and do stand up shows with.
Nice
how did
segue, nice
Ada...
segue, Alex.
Hey, I try my best. I'm a professional. We've done over 30 episodes of this by now. Honestly, go back to episode 1. I was a nightmare. Here we go. This is where we're at now. I can hear the BBC calling. So where did if for someone who hasn't seen Ada, who is Ada? Try and explain the beauty of Ada Camp.
So Ada Camp is actually quite an old school character variety style act, the kind of thing that's now sort of fallen out of, it's just sort of died really because those things don't work anymore. But she's kind of a middle-aged woman who looks very flamboyant. She's got a lot of makeup on. She wears feathers. She has a deep voice. She talks like this, and she does magic, and she sings, and she chats, and she's quite an old school variety character. And nowadays that kind of thing is more aligned with drag, so I get compared to or included within the wider drag family now because of the look of her. But yeah, she's kind of old school. She's tells silly stories. She has big props. She does lots of silly magic, and just she's mischievous, but she's not evil or anything. She's actually really lovely, but what she does is just kind of open up a world of playful, daft communication that I loved when I was young. I loved all that the obvious artifice of her. I love that you come on stage and people go, I don't know what this is, and it's clearly something extraordinary. And I love the space that opens up for us to play in on stage.
That's great, and I think I've seen you before, and I watched a fantastic bit where you spent about 7 minutes making the same balloon animal over and over and over again, and it was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like just so wonderfully silly. Like, and then you're like, and now for the comedians to come on, and we were like, how the hell do we follow that? But it is such a, and you say she's old school and she's a kind of, it's the kind of act that died out, but clearly it hasn't, because you're making it work and taking it, I think, to another level where it's like it's not just reside to cabaret shows now. You're taking it on the stand-up circuit, into other performance, onto stage and stuff as well. That's like really that you're taking it to another level. It's just really Go on, sorry.
No, I think what I wanted most was for her to be a versatile character, and I think all what I loved about all those old school stuff is that, I mean, it's not musical, but it comes out of that sort of tradition. So people have introduced her or started at the beginning going, music hall. She's not. She's got an Instagram, like she's in the now. But it's sort of an imagined nostalgia of what that was, but without the kind of casual sexism, racism, homophobia that's kind of surrounds a lot of that stuff. And I think I just wanted her to be really versatile. So what I love is that, cabaret, so like adult cabaret or comedy club for kids or a magic show or a pantomime or, I wanted that character to be able to exist in those spaces. And I suppose for people who know that all those references, they get something else out of it, or they see it as quite an old school thing. But for people who don't, hopefully they just see her as an extraordinary beast, and there she is, and she just wants to play, and her energy is good. So I've sort of built a rod for my own back because it's silly and no one knows quite what it is, but I also love that space. It feels really nice to be in a space of anything could happen, and with her anything can happen, and I love that.
And there's comfort in silly. I think that's why a lot of us do comedy, because it comes back to that. There's comfort in being a little bit stupid. One of my I do it all the time, just at home, is just a silly voice or coming up with some silly character. I used to write sketches and create characters with people, and I just used to love that. Like, I just think that's so. That's basically how I started in comedy. Me and a couple of my friends from college who were studying drama we just write silly plays, put in silly characters with stupid voices who have these ridiculous, outlandish backstories, and just work from there. And I just think there's so much comfort in that. That's the kind of comedy it's almost like its most natural form is just being a little bit silly, and that's really exciting.
It's nice as well, because obviously I do sets and hosting and stuff, but then Ada's done 4 shows now, 4-hour-long Edinburgh shows. And so you kind of invented this sort of backstory for her, and and built more of her world. And of course, some of it is really it's quite truth adjacent, because it would be hard just to, But I suppose it's finding points of emotional connection in my story or things that I want to say, and then finding a way for Ada to say them so that it doesn't just feel like it's relentless nonsense. It builds a world in which she exists and people are welcome into that space, and it could be truthful or it could be not truthful. So the long form is different to the short form, but I really enjoy both. It's really fun to do both.
I guess in the long form, go on, Hollie, sorry.
I was just going to say, you refer to Ada very separately to Naomi. Do you see her as an extremely separate character, or is there some crossover into?
I sort of do. I think because this is daft, but because I suppose people relate to her very differently, and I suppose because she looks different, she sounds different. I don't sort of slip into her every day. It's not like she looks like, it's not me just with a funny hat on. It's like a whole transformation, and I suppose it's probably because other people relate to her so differently, and she feels like a whole separate persona. So yes, I tend to refer to her in the third person, although but I know that's whatever the kidology of that is, but I tend to, because it feels cleaner that way, but obviously I know it's not. And if we were doing the podcast now with Ada, I could do I don't need to be in all that stuff to be doing Ada. But
do you find it easier to kind of have that separation? Is like she more of an extension of your character, or do you feel completely separate to her?
I think she's the sort of, she's as confident as I would wish to be in real life. She's as bold and playful and sort of as confident as I wish I was.
I have that kind of with my stage persona, that she's a lot more confident than.
So it's really nice to step into that space sometimes, isn't it, and move around that way and be able to try that on and find a different way of being. So I know that's possible for me. I just don't always have to do it with a silly voice and feathers. I haven't quite worked out how to do it without the silly voice and feathers yet, but I know it's possible because I do it on stage.
That's really interesting. Has being Ada sort of actually lent into how you sort of live your life as Naomi? Is it, you talk about, I wish I had that confidence. Has Ada actually given you that confidence? Because you're here now on a podcast with, not to blow our own trumpet, a fair few listeners as yourself. Like, it's that's a big thing. That's a big deal to do it as, doing it as yourself rather than Ada. So you talk about, I don't have that confidence. I mean, look what you're doing right now.
It's a different thing. I mean, I have another life outside of Ada, so I am also professionally me. So I'm used to being professionally me and talking as me. But it's a different thing, isn't it? Comedy. I guess I don't know what influence. You'd have to ask my wife, who's seen it grow and develop. So she probably has a better idea of how it's. I'm probably too close to it to know if it's influenced me. I think she would know. Yeah.
Let's go.
Does your wife come and watch you perform?
Yes. She tends to try and come when I'm doing new things, because she's seen quite a lot of the old things.
That's fair enough. That's good. That's a good judge of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's really supportive. If I ask her to come, she'll definitely come. She wouldn't come as a kind of matter of course, but if I'm doing a new show or I say, could you please come along because I'm trying this out or something, she'd definitely, she'll be really supportive.
That's such a common thing in relationships, I think, when we're in this space. Like, that's the same in my relationship as well. Like, in the beginning, my fiancé was like, I'll come to every show, and then as time goes on, it's like, I've watched it.
When we met, we were both actors, so she'd seen me as an actor in shows. I've seen her as an actor in shows. So we're used to watching each other on stage, and there are some things you want to watch like 5 or 6 times. And other things you go, I've seen that once, I'm done. So I think it's part of that as well. Yeah.
I was incredibly, when I was in my last relationship for quite a long time, I had to think, actually he wanted to come and see me perform. He was like, can I come? And I was very much, it took me a very long time before I could say yes, because that was where I felt sort of almost most vulnerable, was on the thing that I'm supposed to be good at. And I was like, imagine if he doesn't enjoy it. And this is, comedy is such a huge part of my life. So for me, with it, if I was, doing a completely different character on stage, that would be even bigger for me, because I'd be like, I'm not sure I want you to come see this. I'm not ready for you to come see this other side of me that I really like and love, and I'm scared that you won't. I think that was my issue with it, was I was scared he wouldn't like what I was on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've worried about that. If I was doing regular stand-up, though, I think I'd be telling stories about my relationship and stuff, and maybe it's
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
it's
that's
good
true.
because Ada is. I mean, I might include things from my life, but Ada's perpetually single, and so it's never sort of going. My wife this, that, and the other. So maybe actually, it would be more awkward if I was sort of turning bits of our real life into very obvious things, or saying my wife there, that person there said this thing, or I said this thing. So maybe
That's
it's a good once remove actually.
Yeah, I get that with my parents because I do a lot of material based on my upbringing and how, my mum in particular is mental. Like, I love her, but she does a lot of crazy things, and so a lot of my stand up is just I will a lot of my stand up writing. Like at the minute, I'm having a big couple of weeks of writing. A lot of it is just going home and watching weird shit my mother does, and and then doing it on stage, and then redoing it on stage, or finding some jokes in it. So that's kind of she likes to come along to shows, and then she'll get surprised. She'll go, "Did I do that?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, 100% you did." So it's like I can't imagine doing that with a partner though, and like almost feels like therapy, like actually telling them all the things they do, but in front of an audience of 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
absolutely crazy. We are. You did mention Panto earlier. That's our topic today because it is the season for Panto. We'll be releasing this at that time. We're currently recording this in June.
Okay, because there's that lovely line. You know that line from Brief Encounter when the kid says, "There aren't any pantomimes in June," which is one of my favourite lines of all of cinema. So I thought it's appropriate that we're recording it now.
Yeah, it's very funny to talk about when we're about to hit a massive heat wave as well, and we're talking about pantomimes. I think it's great. But yes, Ada has starred, and you have starred in a couple of pantomimes. You starred in a couple of family pantomimes, and also in a couple of gay pantomimes. Am I right in saying that?
Gay, yeah. So Ada played the baddie in Dick Whittington at the Theatre Chipping Norton, which was like a big family panto trad,
Nice.
like 97 shows, 12 weeks,
Oh
3
my
shows a day.
word.
12 shows a week, sorry.
Jesus.
And then the past 2 years I've done the adult panto at the Royal Vauxhall Tavern. So Ada played the sorcerer in a version of Jack and the Beanstalk, and then last year Ada played Granny in their version of Red Riding Hood. And that's been really, really fun to do. But Panto's always been sort of queer coded for me, but I suppose that's because my head is queer coded. So I just thought it was an interesting topic, and that the rise of kind of adult queer pantos, and I suppose the delineation there of relationships. So in our last one, the Piggy and Red Riding Hood ended up together, and then Granny ended up with the wolf.
That's brilliant.
That's brilliant.
That's great writing.
Which was good. And then in the year before, Ada as the sorcerer, who was in that she was they were a they them character, ended up with the dame.
Nice. But
so
even having a they them character just seems absolutely like it's so obviously it's a queer pantomime, it's a queer code pantomime, but even that seems quite progressive, particularly in the current market. Like it's just quite it's really interesting, like because when I heard I've never been to a queer pantomime, or specific an adult pantomime, but when I think of them, my first thought is, again, probably due to my ignorance, is it's just going to be blue humor, euphemisms, quite crass. Whereas actually you come here and say, yeah, they this character got this character, but they also have a they them character, and that's just really like it's so much more than I think people expect. You know what I mean? I think it's the same as like we talk to people as well who have like we talk to comedians who have do regularly perform on cruises, and I say the same thing, where we all have this image in our head of it. It's just old people. The humour's quite crass, quite a lot of euphemism in it. It's really there's feathers and stuff. It's very camp, but that's it. And actually, it's like no, there is so much more to it. What is it specifically that you love about doing these adult pantomimes, or pantomime in general?
I think I fell in love with theatre because of pantomime. That's what want to maybe be a performer, I think. And it was because of the artifice of it, because of the storytelling, and because of the kind of the sense that everyone was on the same page with the nonsense, that we'd all made a decision in that room, audiences and performers to enjoy this. And I think, you know,
Yeah.
if you see a lot of theatre during the year, then sometimes you go to a panto and someone says, "This is my name, this is what I want," and you go, "Good, great, let's do that." Woo! I like that. But I think I love doing the family panto. That was fun, because it was about taking elements of Ada as a cabaret act, but just making her more mischievous and naughty. And she was Queen Rat in that show, and all my rats were all kids, like the local kids.
Nice.
So that was really fun. So she had these kind of kid acolytes, and that made it really joyful. And it was finding where is she on the baddie scale. That was kind of interesting. But in the adult pantos, I think, again, it's about having a space for queer people and for friends and allies to just be in a space where, again, nothing, where those tropes are acknowledged. Some of the tropes can be mocked and acknowledged, and that no one is punching down. There's probably punching sideways, and there's definitely punching up, but it's not really punching down. And if there's characters, there's in jokes that you can tell, as with always with panto, but there's kind of ways in, and there's you can be a bit more fluid and friendly. And I love the ones, I know there are ones that are very, for example, very blue, like you said, ones that just do that. The one that I've done twice is I get all the old school tropes of panto, and to see a room full of adults holding beer, shouting, "It's behind you," like totally invested in it, is just completely joyful. And to be in a space where the performers are queer, most of the audience are queer, the venue is a very obviously queer audience, it feels very open and very accepting and inclusive, and a joy to perform, really. So it doesn't have to be, nothing has to be explicitly queer at any point. It's just that we're all there in the room, and we know that's a space that we can be in, and we can celebrate each other in.
It feels safe. That's what it ultimately comes down to, isn't it? It feels safe in a way that you can express and do what you want to do, and that's what we all want, really.
Yeah, and having some diversity in terms of representation among the cast, you know, so it's not just all, for example, you know, cisgender gay men in wigs. It's not all that. It's they don't get all the funny lines. Everybody has some funny. Everybody has some emotion. Everybody has some poignancy. So no one is the kind of the one queer token character that's like,
that's what I was going to say.
One.
Yeah,
we're all the gay one.
We're all the gay. We all want to be the gay one.
I think it's really important at this point, and we've mentioned it before on the podcast, to mention Swamp-esque. Have you seen it?
Oh, for goodness sake.
Oh my God.
It's
fantastic Tash York, who's incredible. Yes,
literally.
It is amazing. The story goes, last Edinburgh Fringe, I won tickets to see it, and I was going with a friend because I won 2 tickets. And my friend had to drop out on the day, and I couldn't find anyone else to come, so I went to Swamp-esque on my own. And I've never felt weirder. Like, just being so just like, this doesn't feel good. It's a great show, but it felt strange being on my own.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, brilliant.
What I really want to know, just because I find this really interesting, you said it was 12 shows a week for 4 weeks or something like that. Is what you were saying? Or something absolutely insane. That's an insane number. But we
did 97 shows. But not the adult panto, that was the family panto.
Yeah. But you're spending all that time with that cast. Like, is that...
Yeah.
That, you know, you must get to sort of know these people and basically learn each other inside and out, because you're spending so much time with each other. Like, what's that like as an experience? Is that quite daunting beforehand, meeting all those new people, or is it something you're always excited for?
I liked it because it reminded me when I used to be an actor. Because obviously, when you're a solo performer, you just tend to do your own thing. So it's really nice to work with a group of people. But yeah, of course, everyone goes in, game faces on, going, "Gosh, right, we're here for 12 weeks." You know what I mean? We're going to be in close proximity, so everybody be. I mean, it was kind of compounded by the fact that we were in the Cotswolds in this tiny town, and we were all staying in the town, and there was very little to do in the town, so we were basically, it was all the social time was together as well. So we were either in the pub playing games, or around in people's digs watching films, or we'd like go to Oxford and play escape rooms as an entire cast, or so we just we made the decision to bond and be in the room with each other, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was really fun. And I remember when I was a baby actor, you know, the first time you leave a show and you're just dead crying and devastated. So is that sort of, you have to wean yourself off in the last week. But it was kind of easy because I was desperate to be home by if you're still shouting Happy Christmas at people in like mid-January, you're like, get me home.
Yeah.
But no, it was fun, and I've enjoyed. In London, it's obviously different because everyone just scatters to their homes, and there isn't as much socialising. But I love working with other performers, and the joy of that is, again, it's just that kind of positive energy. You want to do the best job on stage. So if they've cast it well and the rehearsal period's gone well and you can be playful, then I think that's ideal, really.
Nice. Because with stand-ups, I mean, like, we spend a lot of time in our cars on our own. It's an incredibly solo, isolated job. It can be really lonely when you're, driving home from a gig and it's 2 a.m. and that you feel like the only person in the world at that point because there's no one on the road. Like, it can be such an isolating thing. But we said it before in terms of, like, when we, again, my best friends are comedians now, but we will go months without seeing each other in person. And because we don't cross paths, we're in different places in the country or in the world, and then suddenly you see each other again, it's just like nothing's changed. Like, it's just like, oh right, you're here again, cool. And that I think with comedians, we are often very much in our own space, and I think that's the kind of thing one of the very few things I miss about a normal job is that the sometimes the loneliness of being a stand-up is a lot, but it sounds like, with pantomime and theatre performance, you've got the best of both worlds, because you've got that comedy, the comedy and the performance you love doing, and you're spending time with all these people. You're never quite on your own. Sounds really fun.
I say not the long drive home is good. The only problem is, obviously, as a comic, I want to be constantly, like, improving it. I want to be writing toppers. I want to be doing stuff. So sometimes if you settle into a script and you're like, oh, the bits that you feel don't work, or it's good in a way, because you, like doing an Edinburgh show, you get to try, you're in the same space, right, with the same lights and the same performance conditions, so you get to find out what's making that line funny, or how can I make it, is it a move there, is it a look there, is it a bit of stillness there? At least the performance conditions are fixed, so you can really delve into that. But the urge to kind of write toppers to improve, or just not to be doing the same script again and again, because of course I know we do the same thing a lot as comics, but we also get to switch stuff up and we get to put in topical things. So there is the restraint of the script it's fun, it's good, and it's good practice, and it's really good to work out to really nail something and make something work. But you do, I kind of want to fly free. We did at Chipping Norton, myself and the guy who played the Dame, we did a cabaret night, like halfway through the run, and that was so nice just to sort of release the beast a little bit. So I always try and perform. It didn't work as well in when I was away, but in London I always try and keep performing, so do Christmas gigs as well, just to break out of that mold a little bit and reconnect with the energy of Ada, so she doesn't get stuck in a kind of rhythmic rut, I think. So did you go to Pantos as a kid, either of you?
I went a couple of times as a kid. My school took us when we were at primary school. We were like a bunch of inner city kids, so we got they had arts funding, and instead of buying musical instruments or whatever, they'd be like, we'll have one day where we go to the pantomime instead of But we we did that as a kid. I guess I was gonna say earlier, I think it's like a lot of people's first experience of theatre as well, and now, again, I think more as I've sort of got older and become more interested in performance. I love the theatre. I love the walk into, because there are always these, there's always so much history to it. There's so many, even newer, moderner theatres. It's still got that. So many people have walked on this stage and performed on this stage. So many other people have sat in these seats. It's like an experience you don't quite get. You don't, it's not the same in the cinema, you know what I mean? The cinema's so futuristic and so isolating and so dark, and there's no personality to it. All the seats are black, the walls are black, it's just this. Whereas in a theatre, it's like there's so much personality to it, and it feels like a more like an event for me than, and that's what I quite like about it. But I can't say I've been to a panto or an adult panto. I've not been to a pantomime since pre the age of 12.
Wow.
So it's been a long. I don't. I think we had a big thing where I used to work I was a teacher in a school where it was a particularly tough school in a city. And we would take our year sixes, we'd take them we'd have 3 days in London with them, and it would blow their minds. But we'd take them to a theatre performance. And I think the year I did it, we took them to see Matilda, and that just blew these kids, because a lot of these kids, some of these kids had never been to the cinema either, right? That's the sort of the level of the kids we were working with and stuff. So it's like the idea of taking them to the theatre, and then it just blew their minds. I think that's a kind of thing that Panto would do as well, and does for a lot of kids. Is it's like it's such a, I know the atmosphere is so warm and exciting, and I guess silly. It just is this whole, and very camp. The theatre is just very camp in general. I think it's old and silly and flamboyant, and that's what I quite like about it.
Yeah, I used to go a lot as a kid, and actually talking about this has brought up a memory for me because I think the first kind of signs of me realizing that I liked women and being a little bit confused was at a pantomime. And I remember turning to my mum and being like, "Oh, she's really pretty," but feeling I was probably like very early teens, maybe even like 12, and feeling a certain way that I was like a bit confused by it, and then questioned my mum and said like, "Oh, does that mean that I fancy her?" And my mum was like, not knowing anything else, obviously, was like, "No, it doesn't."
It's that is interesting. I think I think lots of people can pin like sort of have that sort of memory of something as kids being like, oh, that's like I like that, or I
Yeah.
find that interesting.
I had that. The very first panto I remember seeing was I remember thinking that the like the ingenue, the whoever Cinderella, I don't know what it was beautiful. I remember thinking she was incredibly beautiful, and then they were called up. I was much younger, but I called up to kids to go on stage, and I went on stage. It was in my local town or something, and then when I got on stage, I saw how much makeup she had on. And then I saw how much makeup they all had on, like the ugly sister, that all of them. And I remember seeing all this thick makeup, and I was absolutely thrilled. I was like, "This is amazing," because the rest of the audience think that. I mean, she was lovely, but the rest of the audience think that she looks like this, and she actually looks like this. But everyone on stage knows that this is a big put on. And for me as a kid, that I loved that. I felt privy to kind of like a secret world, and I was like, "Oh, you don't have to be yourself. You can pretend. You can pretend with a group of people, and everybody will think this about them." And it was just, for me, that just blew my mind and really got me into theatre. Although I do think I wrote to her asking for like a signed photo or something. I think I got a signed photo.
That's impressive. That's fun.
I don't know if it was fancying, but it was definitely like, oh my God, you can pretend to be something, and you can pretend to do that with other people. Yeah.
Was pantomime like a was it like an event in your house as a kid? Was it like a yearly thing, or was it a?
I don't think so. I remember that one. I don't remember seeing it a lot, but yeah, I used to go to the theatre quite a lot. My mum had been a ballet dancer. It was just me and my mum when I was little, and so we would go and see like ballets, and we go to like classical music. So I didn't have a telly, so we go to like classical. Cool kid, not. But I like go to like classical music stuff, and I loved that world of performance. I love the world of storytelling on stage. So I'm not. I think it started with panto. And then I just really got into it, and I was doing like summer, like all those summer schools and bits and bobs, and learning skills, and just wanting to tell stories and not knowing quite how, but loving the idea that you didn't always have to be like you per se, like route one, your body. You could pretend to be something else. And I guess that sort of manifested itself now where I am in Ada Campe. It's just that I'm more conscious of what that is. And also I've learned how to be me as well, so that's fine. But yeah, I suppose Panto's my flashpoint for it, definitely.
It's really interesting to hear that those sort of summer schools for kids and things actually. I'm hesitant to say actually work, but you know what I mean. Like they kids are actually sort of inspired by them, because I mean, I remember I got used to get. I mean, I was closet straight for a very long time. But my parents used to send me to all the the football summer camps and stuff and things, and it was like. It was just purely because my parents had to work. Like it didn't feel like it was like anything, and that you got that with a lot. It felt like that for a lot of kids at those kind of things. So it's really interesting to hear at those sort of like theatre ones you did actually, you did open your eyes to this world and inspired you. That's great. That gives me a lot of hope for kids in the future as well. Like that gives me a lot of.
From when I was like 7, I was just that's all I wanted to do was be a performer. That was it, sort of locked in. Yeah. Who knows? I could have done something useful with my life had I not.
No, but I think I have it where, like I said, like I've wanted to be a comic since I was a kid, and for me it was all to do with like my parents. My mum in particular is a massive Billy Connolly fan, so she used to just censor it all for me, but retell me Billy Connolly jokes or Billy Connolly routines. and then then she had, when I was old enough, she had all the DVDs of his previous tour shows and things and stuff. So that's where it started for me, was watching people like that and being like, oh, like you can do that, you can get away with being stupid on stage. And I think like I'd always made people laugh as a kid, but not necessarily intentionally. So then it was this idea of that, oh, you can actually have a job where you make people laugh, and you can have you can make money by being stupid and silly. And it's never been about making money for me. It's always been about just doing something I really enjoy and have a lot of fun with. And I'm very fortunate I'm in the position where I'm able to do that.
But I think it's back to that silly adults thing, isn't it? I very much felt that during the panto, the family panto, when I had all these my teams of rattlings. That was like they were all very ambitious, and they all want to be in Six the Musical. They want to do this kind of thing. And I was like, well, what I'm modelling here is a performer who is silly, who has larger than life, who is getting laughs, who is sort of grotesque, and it's not tied up in sexuality necessarily, or even an idea of sort of physical sexual. Like Ada she can be sexy, but that's not her USP. It's about the manifestation of that body on stage and the playfulness of that. And I loved working with them, the kind of twinkle in their eyes, and some of them are really up for playing and some of them are a bit scared by it. And I was constantly trying to work with them to make stuff funnier, or to work out, how we could get a better laugh at this line or that line, or where the pause would be. Because, we were doing these performances over and over again with different teams. So it was like, well, if I can get a laugh with this person playing that character, we should be able to get a laugh with the same one, albeit in a different way. We just need to kind of model that. So I was sort of hoping that, because I loved kind of older funny women when I was growing up, and just women, or particularly women or characters being sort of transgressively silly. And so I thought, hopefully maybe this has opened their eyes a little bit to a different way of being funny on stage, or a different way of being a funny woman on stage, and then the queerness of that. I was very open about that backstage with them, and so if questions were asked, so again, it was just part of that. It wasn't like I suppose my primary thing is not being a queer comic, although that's absolutely runs through everything I do, but just being a queer comic who is happy and funny and also playful in that space, to just give a kind of rounded idea of what that is, and as part of their things that they see in terms of professional theatre.
And that's really important, because those kids will see that and go, oh, that is an option for me. That is
or very much not.
Or I don't want to touch this with a barge pole.
Make that stop.
Yeah. It's one of the two, isn't it? They're either going to go, this is great, or they're going to go, what the hell have I walked into? But it's just really nice that kids are exposed to that and are able to see, that there are, this is what you can do and this is what you can be. And actually, it doesn't matter who you are. You can go on stage, make people laugh, have a great time.
But I think it's the same in the adult panto, because it's sort of it's not drag in the traditional sense, but it's drag adjacent. But obviously I'm very female bodied, but I'm not a drag king, and I'm not presenting as a drag queen. It's something else. But again, it's that sort of heightened, playful silliness of being a grown person on stage that I think just allows people in a little bit to feel that they could be a bit twinkly eyed as well.
Yeah, and that's like, adults need that as well. Need that, that sometimes that
so much.
Still need representation, still need that spark of inspiration, because otherwise we just live
more silliness.
Yeah, because otherwise we just live these mundane lives where we wear grey suits and we go to work every day and we come home and we talk to our wives and then we sleep back to back because we're unhappy. Like, like, that's the kind, when actually, we all need a bit of silly, a bit of stupidness, a bit of fun in our lives. And
definitely.
It's just really cool that the way you choose to express that, I just think is really, really unique and really cool. And something like I say, when we ask for the topic off guests and they come back with us, there's always a prejudgment where we go, okay, what are we going to talk about here? And for me, it was like, pantomime comes in, I go, I've got absolutely no idea how we're going to get around this. I don't know at all, because I've got, my knowledge of it is so limited, and my ignorance to it. Like I said before, my ignorance to it was just like, I just thought it was very one-dimensional, and it clearly isn't. It is proper. But
it's not.
Performance,
it is, but in a lovely way. But also, as comics, I think we need that. We need to hear the audience.
Yeah.
We need to hear them feeding back. We want, there is that liveness about it, of how they respond, of shouting out to them, of getting a response to them, of feeling that mood. So much of it is familiar actually as a performer, and we need that. I remember after you know, in the pandemic and stuff, or even when you come back from Edinburgh, anything that's over an hour, you're like, come on, be faster. We do
Yes.
get these things done. But just having in cabaret and in comedy and in magic, the audience are so vital. There's no point doing it without the audience there. So having the audience so involved feels not unfamiliar to stand up or to cabaret. The audience are a vital part of it. I know they are in theatre, but I think sometimes you see theatre that feels like it doesn't matter if you're there or not as an audience member. The theatre, it would just carry on, it would just happen. The beats are there, and you're not required to be in the room. It's nice that you've paid, but you're not you're not really interacting with the story. Whereas Panto, like with comedy, the audience are vital, and they influence how the performers feel, how the show goes, the mood of the room, and each other. So it's kind of it's more like stand up as we know it than theatre per se, I would say.
Yeah.
It's about trying to break down that glass wall between the performer and the audience, and actually everyone's involved equally, and having a lovely time is really important. But also, like, that's the validation we as comics need. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in a very serious theatre performance and everyone's silent for 2 hours and then at the end gives you a little polite clap, I'm like, I've got issues with my ego, with my self-esteem. I need you to come at me hard with the praise early, right? I can't perform
constant feedback.
Yeah, exactly. I want constant validation, please, and I want it quick. I can't imagine doing something so serious for 2 hours and then getting even if a big massive round of applause at the end. I'm like, gosh, I worked for 2 hours for this. Come on, I would rather have a little laugh every 3 minutes. If I was doing a 2 hour long play, that's what I'd rather have.
Exactly. I feel the same.
Yeah. So it's nice, I guess. Yeah, you're right. As performers in the type of performance we do, we want our audiences to be involved and to enjoy that stupid, I guess, forget the outside world for the however long they're come into our silly worlds. And I mean, Ada's world is much more silly and crazy than mine, but it's still about inviting people in to listen to you and enjoy.
Yeah, and obviously there are rules. The adult panto, sometimes people get a bit drunk and start shouting out, and you can just feel the audience go, nope. You know what I mean? Like, the rules are there. It's not a massive free for all. It's not like it's not a drag brunch or something. No, there's a story. It's stupid, but we're gonna tell it.
That's great.
Yeah.
We are silly within parameters, and that.
And there will be an interval.
Yes, of course there'll be an interval. Of course there will, so we can all have a drink, including the performers.
Oh my God, so funny. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a wonderful place to wrap up. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Naomi. It's been wonderful to hear from you. Where can people find you?
Oh, thank you. Where can people find me? You can find Ada Campe, Ada Campe. You can find her on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube. I'm currently working on some new stuff. I've got loads of new songs that I've been working on with this amazing pianist called Tom Carradine. So I'm doing that. I'm not doing an Edinburgh show this year. My first time in many years. I'll be up for a month doing Edinburgh. It is, but I'm working on loads. So I'm doing loads of new magic, and I'm working up loads of new material, and just really trying to kind of invest in her, and be playful. So the best way is to find Ada on the socials, and then you will see what's coming up, and then you'll get to experience some of the silliness for yourself.
And there's loads of new magic and loads of new music to come. That is crazy.
Yes.
You are busy. That's amazing.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for
having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for you at home for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a review. Rate us. That would be amazing. You can follow us online as well. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time on the Queers On podcast. Bye. This episode of the Queers On podcast was produced in association with Unmasked Neurodiversity Network, an incredible charity in Leeds aiming to provide unwavering support and guidance to individuals within the community. To donate or find out more, visit unmaskednn.co.uk.